Wouldn't it be fantastic if a chef came right to your house with all the groceries, cooked your meals for the week, following any dietary guidelines you wanted? And not only that, the meals were delicious and you got to talk to the chef. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, we can make that happen for you. So if you want to know more about that, please just stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Scan FYI. Yeah, today we have quite the treat because we're talking to Chef James from Chefs for Seniors. And good morning, Chef. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, Andrea. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's always a pleasure to get to speak to you. And before we really even get into it, why don't you, if you would, tell our viewers a little bit about who you are at Chefs for Seniors and a little bit about what is Chefs for Seniors?
Well, my name is Chef James Rosciano. I'm executive chef and partner here at Chefs for Seniors, Central New Jersey. The reason why I stress Central New Jersey is Chefs for Seniors is a national company, headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, and there are 100 plus franchises located throughout the country. Just here in New Jersey, there are 3 active franchises, one up in Bergen County, one down in South Jersey, in the Cherry Hill area, and us here in Central New Jersey. And we use that term loosely, Central New Jersey, because we have a huge territory that we
Whatever
cover.
that means.
We cover some Middlesex, Mercer, Monmouth, and Ocean counties. We have currently 15 and soon to be 16 or 17 chefs strategically located throughout that territory. And what we do is, as our flag says, we don't deliver meals, we deliver a chef. We go out to independent living seniors' homes with our own equipment. Our chef rings the doorbell and they have a toolbox with all their utensils and a rolling cooler with all their pots and pans. And as Andrea said, we'll also do the grocery shopping. A typical standard service for one of our clients, our clients will get to select 4 items off a delectable menu. And our chef will even do the grocery shopping and show up with all the ingredients necessary.
How good is that? Yeah.
It's great. We'll come in the home, and within 2 or 2.5 hours, we'll turn those 4 menu selections into approximately 12 to 14 complete meals, individually packaged, dated and labeled, and most importantly, as Andrea mentioned, we will cook to whatever dietary restrictions may be involved, because our goal is to keep our seniors eating healthy and keeping them out of the doctors and out of the hospital.
Right. And the thing is, and we stress this a lot at SCAN, nutrition plays such a big role in your life, especially if you have chronic conditions, or really for all of us. You know, food is a big part of our lives, and we want to be able to enjoy it. And the reality is that, you know, for some people, it's just not something that they want to do or that they're physically able to do. And the idea that someone is coming to your house and bringing everything with them, and you can get to enjoy some great conversation and socialization. So this is really Chefs for Seniors. It's a great concept. And first of all, I just want to remind everyone, for additional info, we have all the contact info right there on the screen. And if you want to know more at any point, you can always reach out and find out more for yourself. But what are your typical clients like, if there is such a thing, Chef James?
Well, I like to categorize our clients 2 ways. Okay. Yes, we cater to those homebound seniors who may have some medical issues. The children may live out of state because of work. And, they may have a health aide that visits them a couple of days a week. A lot of those clients depend on us for their nutrition. And not only that, I go through a painstaking process in hiring our chefs, and our chefs, right off the bat, are culinary geniuses and experts, all of them in their own right, various backgrounds, from all types of high-end catering, corporate catering, high-end restaurants. But most importantly to me is their personality. This is a very personable business. We're entering homes. That's
Yeah.
very personal. We're going into kitchens. That's very personal. I don't know. When I grew up, it was a no-no to be in your friend's house and open somebody's refrigerator.
Right.
It's very personal. So I go through a painstaking process in hiring these chefs. And rest assured, anyone out there that's watching, go check out our Google reviews. Our Google reviews always start off with, Chef Julia's fantastic. Chef Michael was amazing. It always starts that way. So that's very important because those folks who are homebound, this also becomes a social, there's a social aspect to our visit. All right. These folks may not see, anybody but their health aide or their physical therapist or their occupational therapist. And we've been cooking for many of our clients for several years. And you almost become like family because when we assign a chef to a client, it's that same chef that shows up. Ding dong, how you doing, Mrs. Smith? Hey, your mail was in mailbox. All right, we're going to make some delicious pistachio salmon today. And it becomes a whole social thing. The client knows about the chef's family, the chef's kids. I had a couple of clients recently. My daughter got married. I have a couple of my clients that are begging me for pictures. I had a few on my phone that I showed them, but they're begging me for pictures. And I've been cooking for some of these folks for 2 and 3+ years. So there is a social aspect. The other type of client.
It's a lot more than cooking. It's a lot more than breaking bread together. You're absolutely right. For a lot of people, they have really homebound people have no socialization. They don't even have a lot of opportunity for socialization other than their doctors and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So this is such a wonderful break from all of that, that medical stuff. And I can just imagine sitting in the kitchen and watching, my personal chef cooking and schmoozing with me, not to mention cooking the very things that I chose, right? As the client, it's all about you, the client.
And the more times that we're in, the more customized the food gets. Yeah. Listen, we had this discussion before. There's been many a times a good friend of yours will say, hey, this restaurant's great. You go to the restaurant, you walk out, what were they thinking? Everyone's palate is different. Everyone's palate is different. So the longer the client stays with us, and it doesn't have to be long term, but after 2 or 3 services, the meals are customized to the point where they're exactly the way the client likes to eat their food, whether they like their vegetables soft or hard, little things like that. But also not to miss the point, there is another type of client that we do visit. Besides those clients, in need of us for their nutrition, we have what I like to call our active seniors, where Herman likes to play golf and Julia likes to go down to the clubhouse with the ladies and play canasta or mahjong or whatever they're playing down there. They use us as a convenience because they still have their group of friends. They might live in a 55 and over community and they still have their group of friends that they get together on Thursdays and go out to eat. But as to supplement their active lifestyle, they utilize chefs for seniors where they know they're going to get a delicious and healthy meal. So they could go out, cheat, and eat some Chinese food on Thursday night.
Yeah. So when you're cooking for someone, again, you're in their kitchen, and I agree with you that the kitchen I think of it as a very personal space, and not just anybody is going to come in my kitchen. So I really get that. But now as you're preparing, the meals for people, how are you packaging it up to go in the refrigerator? Is it packaged for the freezer? How does that work?
Absolutely. We individually package them, and anybody that's watching could visit us on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and there's videos and pictures of meals prepared by our chefs. There's a ton of social media out there, and all the platforms you can find us, Chefs for Seniors, Central New Jersey. All right. We package them individually. And again, a learning process. Everybody has a different appetite. So after that chef's in there a few times, they know Mrs. Smith has a smaller appetite, but her husband eats much more hearty. and we package them and customize them. It's a very personal operation, and the chef will suggest certain things aren't meant to be frozen, and they just don't reheat properly when frozen. So the chef at the time, depending on what they're eating and what they've ordered, will suggest, hey, why don't you eat these in the next couple of days, because it's not good to freeze.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So yes, the chef will always lend their personal advice to a client in order for them to have the best experience with the food.
Now, is when you come into my home and you obviously you never met me, you don't know what I like, what I dislike, is there a whole listing that you present your clients to say you can choose a menu listing, really? Choose from this, choose from this?
To the contrary, I know a whole bunch about you, and so does the chef before we even get there. We have a very detailed onboarding process.
Ah, got it.
Several conversations I have with the client, with the client's point of contact, sometimes one of the children that contacts us, sometimes three-way conversations. We have a very detailed onboarding process, not extensive, but detailed. We'll find out, they'll take a food survey, and we'll find out their likes, their dislikes, what they're willing to try. We'll find out, like we mentioned, any dietary restrictions. Do they need gluten-free? Do they need low sodium, low sugar, lactose-free, whatever. We've gone as far as recently in the last few months as we dealt with dietitians from Sloan Kettering. We had a client who went through some gastrointestinal, medical issue that they had when they got out of the hospital. They had to eat pureed foods, but we weaned them up. We dealt with a dietitian from Sloan Kettering in Manhattan on a weekly basis, and we weaned them from portions of pureed all the way up to normal, regular food. Yeah, there were some restrictions involved as far as spicy and cooked and raw vegetables, but we went the whole length, all the way from a pureed food in small portions 6 times a day to eating a regular meal.
That's really, really exceptional. Yeah. So I think if you're watching, you're getting the idea that this is not just a home delivery service. This is just something that is so customized. And remember, there's a social component because, wow, if you're really lucky, you'd get Chef James at your house. Not everyone's going to be that lucky.
Well, unfortunately, right now, Angie, right now, I do have a handful of clients, but we've been growing over the last 2-3 years. I mean, to the point where I spend a lot of my day, like I just said, on the phone, in home. A lot of times, we'll do an in-home consultation, and it gets very extensive because besides all of that stuff with what you like, what you don't like, your medical dietary restrictions, we also do a kitchen inventory, so we know prior to going in, what kind of stock pantry items they have on hand. Your breadcrumbs, your olive oil, your canola oil, salt, pepper, dry herbs and spices. We go through a very extensive process. And not only that, once I finish my consultation, I'll develop the first menu, usually with the client. Right after that, I hand the menu over to our chef. Now our chef calls them up, introduces themselves, and goes through the list of ingredients required and develops a grocery list. And then when the chef gets in the home, the chef gives a look-see. And it's a very we try to do our best to get as much information as possible before we even enter the home, even to the extent where the chef is introducing themselves on the phone before they even get there. So there's some comfortability when we arrive.
I mean, sign me up I feel like I want to say that every time I speak to you. Who would typically reach out for you? Is it usually adult children of parents who might be struggling a little bit with nutrition?
I'll tell you, it's probably 50-50. We do get inquiries from clients themselves because many clients are very digital or computer savvy right now. I mean, it really is. We do get inquiries from children, and you know what? A very, not funny, a very interesting fact that we've experienced over the last couple of holiday seasons. Comes January and February, our phone rings off the hook, and all I could attribute that to is I think maybe some of these children that get together on the holidays with their parents, and maybe brother and sister go over and see mom and dad for the holidays, or have them to their house for the holidays. And all of a sudden, a year has passed, and they say, hey, we need to help out mom and dad, or we need to help out mom, or we need to help out dad. He is getting up there. And at that point, a lot of those calls after the holidays are from the children themselves. And that's the only logical thing I could attribute it to.
Well, I think sometimes during the holidays, maybe you haven't seen your parents in a while. Maybe you live out of state. You come home for the holidays and you might be surprised that you open the fridge. There's really nothing in there. There's nothing in the pantry. You maybe have that realization that, you know what, my parents are obviously struggling and maybe they just don't want to admit it. They definitely need help. I'm sure you know that for a lot of older folks, they simply don't want to ask for help. And so I could appreciate that adult children might be the first ones to realize that we have to help our parents.
Being of the age with senior parents, I can only speak on my behalf, but I think this holds true. Their generation was a very prideful generation.
Yes, yes.
I've gone through it with my parents. My father, who I recently lost in the last year, he was a very prideful guy, and he had a lot of medical conditions. And when I told him he couldn't drive anymore, and for his safety, it really, I really, really was a tough thing, because he was a very old school Italian prideful man who, provided for his family, the typical, old school kind of mentality. So yes, there becomes a pride issue when you're trying to impart our service, particularly with the old school mom. Somebody, like you just said, somebody in my kick, nobody's coming, nobody's opening my refrigerator. So there is definitely that fine line that we tap dance. But I'm telling you, once we get in the house, and one of my great chefs gets in there, the tune changes. I'm telling you,
I could totally see that, actually. And I hope, for everyone who's watching this out there in, wherever you're watching from, that, you'll take it to heart and understand it's more than just food. It's a social experience. And for so many seniors who are homebound, just have no opportunity for this. So you're bringing someone who has certainly been checked out, not just anyone, into your home that has been vetted. But I think it's just going to be something that's going to be so appreciated. And good nutrition does have a way of improving a lot of chronic medical conditions. So we always have to remember that too. Whatever dietary restriction you might have, Chefs for Seniors, that's what you do. You can take care of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, once again, all of the contact info for Chef James and Chef for Seniors, it's on the screen. I really hope you would take advantage of this. I think this would make a marvelous gift for the holidays, for your family. And it's really, you might be helping your parents, but you know what? You're even giving yourself some peace of mind here, because you're just ensuring that those folks that you love are getting good meals and getting some socialization, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to add something too. Yes, that's a great way to at least get us in there and let your parents, if it's children that are trying to get us in there, it's a great way. We have a little uptick too around Mother's Day and Father's Day, where the children will use that to at least let them try. But the important thing I want to add is, we do not have any contractual obligation for a client to sign up with us. We're not one of these companies out trying to build the senior community. That's not the way we operate. We come in one time. If you're not happy and it's not for you, All you have to do is say, it's not for me. And all I'll say is thank you for the opportunity for us to come into your home. If anything changes in the future, you know how to contact us. I think that's a key selling point on our part. We're not here. We're not signing you up and you're stuck with us for 6 months, 3 months, 10 services, 14
Right.
services. We come in once. If you don't like it, all well and good. Thank you for the opportunity. And with that being said, last month, over 250 seniors we serviced. Many of those seniors with us for 2 and 3+ years. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. It speaks to the quality of our chefs. I mean, I don't know what other way to put it.
Food is very personal. And, that's a good point. The idea of being contractually obligated to have to eat something for 6 months that you don't like, I couldn't even address that. So, give it a shot, guys. You have nothing to lose. Call Chef James and 609-545-2315. It's on your screen. I think you'll be pretty happy.
Let's not to forget, in case I don't answer the phone, my partner Seth Lefberg.
Oh, Seth. Yes. Shout out to Seth. We love him too. We do. All right. Listen, everyone, I appreciate, we always appreciate everything at Scan. And we feel very strongly about good nutrition. And so here's an opportunity for you to help your family and help yourself, give yourself peace of mind. Chef James, it was always a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you today, like it always is. Thank you for being with me.
And I guess I'll be seeing you next, when is it? Are you going to be at the luncheon?
You will be seeing me next week. That's right. You will. Double the pleasure here. So listen out there. If it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. Bye, everyone. And bye, Chef James.
So long.